I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m., January 8, 2025, a monthly meeting of the Kinney County Groundwater Conservation District. We need to establish a quorum. We have 5 directors present. Everyone, please rise.
Mr. West, can I interrupt for a second?
You may, but we're not even open yet. So,
well, you said we established a quorum, but I'd like to go on record that I don't think we can establish a quorum if we're not qualified because we don't have bonds. And Chapter 36 of the Texas Water Code requires a bond for us to do our official duties before we establish a quorum. And I'm of the opinion that we cannot establish a quorum if we, all the directors here, don't have the required bond that Chapter 36 requires us to do our official duties.
What do you suggest we do, Director Palmer?
I suggest that we postpone this meeting if we can't establish a quorum and accomplish the business at a later date when we are qualified to do our official duties as required by Chapter 36.
Okay.
Can we take a vote on whether to proceed or not?
Well, actually, I kind of like to finish the pledge before we get into any discussion.
But have we established a quorum yet, President?
Duly noted. I'm going to finish the pledge, and then we'll open the floor and we'll talk about it.
Thank you. That'll be fine.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody, please be seated. We will turn the floor back over to that in a brief moment. In the ensuing month, I have had a lot of texts and comments regarding the public hearing that we thought was going to occur, but actually the board did not take action for that to occur. I've had some people tell me that they're glad that I canceled that meeting. I didn't cancel anything, nor did the general manager or the council for the district. That was a process. Last month, when I was elected board president, my experience was questioned with regard to this position. And I can tell you, I have never been a director on a groundwater conservation district board. I have no experience at it at all. But my first stint as a presiding officer was over 30 years ago for a chairman for Kinney County Historical Commission. And since that time, I've been a city alderman, a mayor pro tem. I've been a director on appraisal district board. And I've also held numerous positions on a variety of different boards and committees at the city, county, and state level. So I am somewhat familiar with procedural matters and parliamentary procedure. And what I got dumped in my lap was that we were going to proceed forward with errors and omissions in the record, which I know that you can't do. I want to be completely clear. I didn't get any special executive authorities or powers as president of this board. In fact, this is not a position of authority, it's a position of service. I serve the board to make sure that we follow the procedures correctly and that we have a correct record of what we've done and actions that we've taken so we can proceed forward and we don't get in trouble. And that's kind of what I'm supposed to be doing. I didn't give up any of my ability to vote or make motions by becoming president of the board. I'm still one of 7 members. After that meeting, it was questioned whether there had been the adequate number of votes on a different action item. It didn't have to do with the public hearing. The board of directors called up and asked if there had been the required number of votes. And that is what triggered every action in last month's meeting to be reviewed to see how many votes that we had on each item. And that's when it came to light, and I learned a very important lesson, despite the fact that I got a lot of experience. All of my experience in the past has been in Texas government you need a quorum to open and have a meeting, but a simple majority of the members that are present is all that is required to take action. And as example, in the commissioner's court, you have 5 members. It only takes 3 to have a quorum and hold the meeting. And if 2 vote in favor and 1 vote against, the action is taken, it passes. That is a standard throughout Texas government and a variety of different type of governing bodies. And what came to light in this last month is that is not the case with the Groundwater Conservation District. The Groundwater Conservation District, it requires a majority of your members, whether they are present or not. If you have a 15-member board, you need 8 votes in favor to take that action. And it doesn't matter if there are only 8 people at the meeting, all 8 of them have to vote in favor. In our situation, we have a 7-member board, so it takes 4 to approve anything. It doesn't matter how many are present or not. Despite the newspaper article or the internet article that came out regarding this, that's incorrect. That's not the way it works with the Groundwater Conservation District. So in the grand scheme of things, just so everybody knows where I think my position is as board president, the state of Texas is the captain of the ship. They're the ones that authorize us. This board consists of 7 helmsmen. Every one of them's got a handle on the wheel and one on the throttle. And they all get their own input into it. No one is above anyone else. Being board president doesn't give me any special duties or powers or authorities. It gives me some extra responsibilities and things I have to do for the board. But it doesn't give me any authority to set meetings or do anything like that. That's just not what it's not in our bylaws. By the way, because that procedural nightmare got dumped in my lap, I spent the next 8 hours after the meeting reviewing our bylaws and our rules. And our bylaws are out of date, and they also conflict with our rules regarding public hearing. It sets up a little bit of a nightmare. We have several in-house things we need to take care of. So that's my report for this month, and we're going to be working on straightening some of those things out in the ensuing 30 days, hopefully through the committee system. It's my understanding that Mr. Ellis will be available to us here in the next week or so we can meet with him and talk to him about how that can work, how we can implement that so we can get some things going and get some things done. And that's all I have to say.
May I add to this?
Absolutely.
When this came out about the 4-vote thing, I mean, I've never heard that on the board either. That several people contact me and they'd research it and couldn't find that. And Greg was kind enough to send, just for anybody that's curious, it's in the water code. It's section 36.053 in the water code. It's not, I was initially told it was in our enabling legislation. I couldn't find it there, but it's the water code 36.053. It's a specific site if anybody's interested of what Wes is talking about.
I didn't know it. It's new to me. It was a learning experience.
New to all of us.
Director Palmer.
All right. Directly related to that subject, before I move on to the quorum subject, I've also been advised of the opinion that the public hearing is a procedural event that doesn't require a vote in some people's legal opinion. So it's in our rules and it's in chapter 36 to have a public hearing to hear what the public has to say in that forum. And it's a procedural event, not something that necessarily requires a vote. So we have these rules, and this, you guys can debate this right now if you want. We have these rules that have been proposed, and there's been debate whether they were proposed properly or not. And you can debate that too, I guess. I feel they were proposed properly, and they exist, and they've existed since May of last year. And we've been unable to set up a public hearing to hear what the public thinks about those rules to the present date. I'm of the opinion that even if this other issue about not being able to establish a quorum, so we don't have a bond, we could still set up a public hearing that our general manager could set up as soon as it complies with the rules, which is 20 days in the paper and all the other stuff. So I'm not sure we need a vote on it, Wes, to tell you the truth.
I got a couple questions here because I want to understand your point, where you're coming from. When you say the public hearing doesn't require a vote, I want to understand what you mean. Are you saying it doesn't require a vote to set public hearing? Is that what you mean?
That's correct.
Okay.
For Janelle to establish a public hearing in accordance with the rules that exist about that public hearing, all that's required is that she's does it. We don't have to have a majority vote to set a public hearing.
And where did you said this is someone's opinion?
Yeah. I'll keep my source private, but
Oh, well, it makes, okay.
but this person is legitimate lawyer. But I don't need to divulge my counsel's, identity, let's say. That's not relevant. You could check with Greg and ask him if you want to ask that guy.
I'm sorry, but if I want to quote someone else's opinion and want it to bear weight, I have to know whose it is. So if you don't want to devote,
I don't.
That's fine.
It's not relevant. So I'm just
well,
telling you,
it is to me.
We don't have to vote to have that public hearing. Just set the public hearing.
Apparently, in your opinion, we don't. But I'm not sure that I agree with that without seeing what you're talking about in the statutes or the rules that don't require it. Because I don't know of anything like that.
All right. Well,
all of my
in chapter 36, does it say you need to vote to have a public hearing? Let me know if you see it.
Well, all I'm going to tell you is, in my experience over the last 30 years, public hearings are set by every governmental body in order.
Set, but not voted on necessarily.
The word doesn't have.
That's part of the setting process, actually, in most instances.
And
no, that's what I've seen.
I don't like your tone of voice, Wes. But anyway.
I'm not telling you it's required. I'm not telling you it's required for them to do it because I don't know.
Well,
I'm just telling you what I've seen.
Well, that's fine, but what you're seeing isn't what the law says. So maybe we need to ask somebody that.
But did you not talk to Greg David this week or not?
I did talk to Greg.
Did he mention anything about this or not?
He didn't specifically mention that. No. He mentioned that we need bonds.
This was an issue.
He mentioned that we have to have bonds, but I haven't even got to that yet.
What we're talking about now is item 12 on the agenda. Let's get the bond thing out. Let's go through.
We ain't even got to our minutes because we haven't got to the point where we're going to have a meeting here or not.
Well, that's another thing about the minutes, Wes. What the minutes can be a record of recording. The minutes don't have to be a valid recording that you're getting right there and that I'm getting right here. Those can also be considered valid record of what we talked about, including the video also.
Okay. I really don't understand quite where you're going with that, but.
Well, your opinion last meeting was we can't vote because the minutes are wrong, but there was a video and everything that established what happened and audio that established what happened. The minutes, we could have done what we did without the minutes.
May I have the floor for a moment?
Sure.
Okay. What I was trying to explain to you last month was your official record as this district and this governing body are your minutes. Okay. That is your official record. There's lots of records. I would like to have the floor for just a moment. I was a reporter for over 18 years. There are lots of kinds of records. There's the public record. There's your record. There's the official record. And there's the official record of the entity. And the official record of this entity is its minutes. And if you took action and it's not in your minutes, it didn't happen as far as the state of Texas is concerned.
I don't agree, but.
Well, that's what the state auditors are going to agree to when they come down here.
We'll see.
I don't have to see. I've already read the state audits.
Well, they're on their way, so I guess they'll figure out what.
If it's not in your minutes, it didn't occur. So that's where you get into errors and omissions.
And you're saying that videos and audio can't substitute for that?
No.
Okay.
That's why we have to fix the official record. The board seemed to be of the opinion that I don't like these rules and I don't want to vote on these rules and I don't want to have this public hearing on these rules. I haven't even looked at them. I don't even know if it's the right ones because the record is not clear on what we're doing. Okay. We had to go through timelines. This is what I had to go through to figure out what I was looking at. Timelines from directors of what events occurred on what meetings and what actions were taken and what wasn't taken to figure it out. Okay. That's your official record. Your official record has to reflect your actions or you can't move forward. That is my experience over the last 30 years. And I have not found anything. I'm not finished, sir. You do not have the floor yet.
Okay,
I will
go
be
ahead.
glad to give it back to you.
Continue.
But in my 30 years of experience, that is a maxim. If it's not in your official record, you didn't do it. So we need to fix that. And then we can vote on these. We can put these up before the public. Nobody is in a disagreement. Staff is not in disagreement that the board took those actions. The directors that were here are not in disagreement that the board took those actions. So as far as I'm concerned, the board took those actions. This is something we just have to clear up in the official record so it's in the right place and we can move forward. And that's all I was trying to tell you last month. That's all. I'm just trying to keep us out of the weeds.
I understand what you're saying.
Just trying to keep us out of the weeds.
Aren't we all?
Now, we have gotten off track and we're not on our agenda. So we're going to go right back to the bond. Do you want to go forward or not? Do you want to make a motion or not?
If you think a motion is required, I'm fully willing to make one. I don't know how you want to handle it, but I'm of the opinion going to the bond thing. I'll read you this right here. We're talking about chapter 36 and how it says we need 4 votes to pass anything. And we're going to, hold ourselves to that. This says, before beginning to perform the duties of office, each director shall execute a bond for $10,000 payable to the district and conditioned on the faithful performance of the director's duties. All bonds approved by the board and paid for by the district before performing the duties of office. So I'm of the opinion that the same governing chapter 36 that says we need 4 votes to do anything says we're not qualified if we don't have this bond, and you can't establish a quorum with a bunch of unqualified gentlemen or ladies or whoever is supposed to be doing official duties. So any official duty that we pretend to do is not going to hold up if challenged. And I think that we should probably not be doing business if that's the case until we get properly bonded. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Not shared by everybody. Might be shared by some, might not be, but that's my opinion. And I'm basing it on chapter 36, so I'm not making it up. And also, Greg Ellis, who I talked to, said a bond, you need to get those bonds. He didn't tell me don't do business, but he's, you ask him what he said, but he said in a similar manner to what you said, you are open to, not having a valid action if you take action and you're not bonded.
I'm aware of that.
Okay.
And
so what do you want to do?
And we've discussed that. And I do not think that is a crisis with us moving forward. We have been attacked. This district has been attacked for the last 2 years for not doing anything. We've been attacked for not passing these rules, for not getting these up
I was
before the
sitting
public.
on this side of the fence, complaining about that same exact thing. And I'm here and I'm complaining about we need to get this public hearing going.
Mm-hmm.
So
we can't do that without meeting tonight. So
well, I feel like we could, but If you don't think we can, that's your opinion too.
No, I can assure you that we can't.
Okay,
Because
well, no,
that
we
is
can't,
most
but-
definitely that is most definitely challenging as well. It can be challenged quite easily
And anything is going to be challenged.
because you don't have it in your official record. So I'm willing to proceed forward. If you have a motion or you want to try and take any action regarding this, other than your opinion, okay. If not, I want to proceed with the meeting.
Well, we can't vote, Wes. If nobody can vote, I can't make a motion very well now, can I?
Well, if you want to proceed on that method, you can. I don't agree with that, so I'm going to go on with the meeting. Public comments. Do we have anybody sign up for public
Yourself.
comments?
How long does it take to get a bond, real quick?
A week.
A week.
Okay, that's one opinion.
Okay.
What is the status of the application?
Sir,
What is the status of the bond application?
okay, one thing we're waiting on, because we wanted all the directors at one time. We were waiting on one director who didn't fill out the second page of the application. I talked to his wife again this
Something ain't
afternoon.
working.
But Janelle, they're individual bonds.
Yeah.
They're not team bonds. They're individual bonds. It doesn't
I don't know
take
what he's
every
doing, but it went off.
application to get an individual
I-
bond.
I understand that, sir.
No, but are we waiting to send them all in at one time?
Yeah, I never touched it. It was.
Oh, they
still
went
running?
in,
It just
they're
went
not
out.
gonna
Okay,
process them until they
We had
process
sent-
all
we had
together
sent
or
the six
what?
in. We had sent the 6 in and the one was not sent in. And I'm waiting on him I talked to his wife this afternoon. She
Right.
said he was sick.
But what about the other 6? Are they in?
Yes.
Have they have the
And-
bonding people, have they indicated when they might respond?
Yeah, in any time.
Any-
I was hoping we might have them.
So it's in process and
Yes.
we should have them shortly,
Yes,
for at least 6 of us.
yes.
And then as soon as the gentleman comes by and fills out the other page, you can send his back in also.
What I would like to recommend going forward before we move on with anything else,
Oh,
is we need to visit with our dang attorney.
If we
And
get on the
everybody
phone,
that has a question, ask the attorney a question, get him here, whatever. Let's get this straightened out. So we need to find out if Greg's available, get him here. If he's not available, then we need to get another attorney in here. And our questions need to be answered. Let's write them all down while it's fresh on our mind, because we're not getting anything done here.
Yeah, he would.
And I'm not an attorney. I'm not.
Janelle, have you consulted with Greg on this issue? What did he tell you? I don't know what he told you.
Kind of the same thing that he has to say, that this is what's in chapter 36. He didn't say you absolutely have to do it. You cannot go on with the meeting, but as an attorney, he has to tell you what's in. He's not going to say overlook it. But this is what. Okay, I have a question. I don't want to muddy the water, but I do have a question.
I think we're in there already. So go ahead.
Okay, so what you're saying, Director Palmer, is that until this is in place, what about the action that was taken at last month's meeting? Is that null and void?
I would propose it is.
I don't know. Now, to all of y'all, Greg said anytime after the 20th, he could come out for 2 or 3 days and would like to visit, not with the whole board at one time, because that would be a quorum. He would like to visit with y'all individually, like maybe 2, 2, and 3, something like that, at y'all's convenience. But he would, if at all possible, he would like to have it. If it could be done in 1 day or a day and a half, that would, be helpful to him anytime after the 20th. And I think that would be something that would be very beneficial on a number of things, and y'all could.
Ready?
Gives you time to come up with questions and that you might have and things that he could explain. And is there any time? I think the 20th is a Monday. Like say that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is there any time that it would not be good for any of y'all? I know you and I had discussed it briefly, and you said early morning to late
Prefer close
afternoon
to
is
the
better
next
for you.
meeting. I said I'd prefer close to the next meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
The same day or the Tuesday, Wednesday.
Well, but where you are, you might could.
Well, I've talked to him on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Right.
Ideally, I'd like to have a couple people talking to him. That way everybody gets the same story. Contacting the attorney solo isn't what we need to be doing, and we need to mix it up, and we need to put 2 different people that have different opinions together with them on the phone or in the meeting. That way, everything gets hashed out, and this is the law.
We haven't even gotten to public comment. I want to. I've been trying.
He said he would prefer to meet in person as opposed to like Zoom or telephone or whatever.
What is he gonna come here to the office?
Mhm.
A couple of us or three
Yeah.
come in at a time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just gonna suggest or ask if y'all could meet in an executive session so the whole board is together. And then you could have a quorum.
That's
I've asked him that question before.
No.
And apparently there's only certain things that we can discuss in executive session. And so, no, that wouldn't work.
Okay, well, if the public can talk freely during this, then I want to put in my 2 cents.
Okay, hang on, everybody. I really want to get to public comment and let everybody get a chance to talk, but I can't. I haven't been able to even get there yet.
Okay.
So
But would you entertain a motion?
anybody can make a motion at any time they want.
I make a motion that we proceed with the meeting. We're in the process of getting the bonds. Apparently other districts are unaware of this, or we're not the only ones that don't have bonds. I mean, if we're guilty, everybody's guilty. There's nothing on this agenda that is particularly controversial. I make a motion, we proceed, and since we're getting the bonds, we go ahead and have a meeting.
We don't
like
really.
regular.
We don't really need to take we don't really need to take a vote on that per se, because there's no action item on it. But I concur with you. We have business to conduct, and we need to do this business meeting, and that's the way I feel about it. And I would like to continue forward, but it's at the will and pleasure of the board. I'm not in control of that. So, what does everybody else think?
I think you know what I think. If you guys decide as the 4 of you, that's a quorum, and I'll sit here and abstain. That's my opinion.
Director Schatz, do you have an opinion on the matter?
Say go ahead and proceed tonight.
Director Ward, do you have an opinion on that?
I say proceed, but we need to get this settled. And I'm talking serious. The 20th, we don't need this back and forth. Chapter 36, let's go through it with the attorney. Whoever has questions, write them down. Let's get this thing ironed out. Does that work for everybody?
I would also just mention this to add to that. We have 30 days out of the month to work on this stuff. We don't need to be pulling it up 3 days after our meeting is posted and 2 days before the meeting is going to occur. We need to be working on this stuff throughout the month. So, public comment. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment? None? Wow. Okay. Discussion, possible action, approval of the minutes from the December 2024 regular meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from December 24th.
Motion been made by Director Ward and seconded by Director Schott. Approve last month's minutes. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, down hand. Abstention. 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Discussion, possible action, reconsider of approval of June 12th, 2024 board minute meetings, board meeting minutes. Okay, these are the omissions that were laid out in last month's packet that had been missed in June, the 3 actions that were taken by the board. And you'll see an email
Just flip your page there.
from Mr. Ellis regarding that. With what he believes, his suggestions that need to be put into those in order to be properly reflect the actions that the board took. And if I remember correctly, we would need a motion for reconsideration. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to move that we reconsider approval of the June 2024 minutes.
Item 13 on those minutes. It says no motion was made, but we took we had a show of hands. I don't know whether it was an actual vote or just a show of hands. I think that should be reflected in these minutes. So these do not reflect what happened in June.
Okay. Well, we've got 3 here that we know aren't in there.
3, what?
Okay. These are
What are you looking?
this is the email from Greg after he reviewed the tapes
Okay.
and everything, and then reviewed the minutes.
Right.
And there were 3 actions that were taken that didn't get recorded in the minutes that were subsequently approved in, I guess it would have been July. Okay. So all we're going to do is go back and put in these 3 things that y'all, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to go back and get the 3 things that you voted on.
So what I'm looking at
that
on
didn't get recorded.
what I'm looking at on number 7,
Okay.
you're saying the proposal would be to add that to this, or is this the
No.
final product?
Well, this is not the final product. The first thing that we have to do procedurally is we have to have a motion for reconsideration, and the board has to agree that we're going to reconsider approval.
Okay.
And then we can fix it.
Okay.
And then we have to approve the fix.
We'll have to prove putting that in here.
Right. Well,
So
first we got to.
are these the minutes revised, or are these the original minutes?
Those are the original minutes.
Original. Okay.
These-
Never mind. I'm with you now.
These will attach as an addendum.
Okay. I'm with you now. Never mind.
Yeah, we just need to get the 3 things that the board did that we didn't put in the original and get past them. We just got to
I'll
get
make
them
a motion. We reconsider.
All right. Well, I got the motion, so you got the second.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Motion has been made by myself and seconded by Director Gaines to reconsider approval of the June 2024 minutes for the Kinney County Groundwater Conservation District. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, down hand. Motion carries 4-0, 1 abstention. Let me get my notes got up here. Okay, now we can talk about this. So the 3 items that have been identified where the board took action are in that email, and that's what we want to get onto as an addendum to those June minutes. So the record properly reflects the actions that the board took, which included the draft rules addressing inconsistency in the MAG, everything that you talked about 2 months later when you came in and told them that they were wrong, that we had missed it. Any discussion about that? Okay, I move that we amend the June 2024 minutes with the 3 addendums by Mr. Ellis for actions that were not recorded.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to add the 3 missing action items from the June 2024 minutes. All those in favor, raise your right hand. 4 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. So the amendments have been approved and we can go forward. You seconded that, didn't you, anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, next batter up. Yeah, there's a lot of boilerplate stuff here. Let's skip down a little bit. Janelle,
Yes, sir.
let's get your report right now in case there's anything that we need for anything else. And then we'll go to item 12 after that.
Since the last board meeting, there have been no applications submitted for an exempt well. On our field work, Marty continues to inspect the large wells on a monthly basis, sometimes a little more often. That includes recording the meter readings, photos of the meters, and continuing to work on the database for Jim. We're continuing to work on the exempt well database here in the office. Hope to have it completed for too long. That's all the exempt well. On our payments and pump reports, to date, we've had 18 permittees that have submitted their payments. They've been coming in, several a day. Recent meetings, Region J and GMA 10 both met in December. Primarily the GMA 10 meeting is related to the management plans for all the districts. Once a year, GMA 7 and GMA 10 both have a meeting kind of pretty much set aside for just going over all the GCDs in those management areas, going over their management plan. Legislative updates, the 89th legislative session will begin on the 14th of June. 14th of January. It runs for 140 days. Will end, I think it would be June, maybe June the 2nd. The pre-filing of bills began back in November. March 14th would be the 60-year deadline for bill filing. There have already been several water-related items that have been filed. Next month, I will have a full report on all the bills that have been, or water-related bills that have been filed with the, to go forward with the legislature. Brush control. Pardon me. This item was brought up at last month's meeting, and I apologize, Director Ward, that I failed to get it on the agenda this time. I have talked to a couple of other groundwater districts that do have brush management plans, and I wanted to go to one of their meetings today, but they meet at 12 noon. I didn't have too much going on to be able to.
Which one was it, you know?
Winter Garden. They have their, they meet at 12 noon. So anyway, but I thought it might be helpful if we had information from a couple of those that already have a plan in place, and then kind of hash that around and see what we might come up with a draft plan or something and go forward that way. Tire collection, I think I've reported on this before. The city secretary and I both have discussed this. We were thinking sometime in early, mid-June, the same as we have in the past. They provide the manpower, and we pay for the haul off of the tires. And we talked too about having a separate container or having a different container for like tractor and truck tires because we accumulate a good bit of those through the years, and it worked out real good year before last when we did it with the tire collection. Something I've been thinking about and going to be looking into this a little further is maybe a lot of our records that certainly need to be preserved, like when everybody first got their permits, and also our minutes and so forth. There's just a number of things that I think maybe need to be microfilmed and would be safe and secure. But I'm just in the process of starting to check on that, seeking what kind of cost would be looking at. Just another point of interest: the Middle Pecos Groundwater Conservation District. A couple of weeks ago, we were noticed with a certified statement petition for inquiry submitted by Cockrell Investment Partners, LP, and filed with the TCEQ. All the districts in GMA 7, 20 districts in GMA 7, and one district in GMA 3 were all noticed on the same thing. Cockrell it's called Cockrell Investments. He has a large pond farm out there, and about 77,000 con trees, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. He's certainly permitted for that, exempt and historical both. There's been since 2009. There's been an ongoing controversy between him and Fort Stockton Holding with Clayton Williams, and they've been going back and forth because Williams was granted authority or was granted a permit to transport water. So it's been a big ongoing thing with them, and apparently, to simplify it, Mr. Cockrell is unhappy with the district because maybe thinking favoritism has been shown and so forth. But we were just noticed because we're a part or a member of GMA 7 along with the district. If any of y'all want to read it, it's a packet about so thick. So it gives all the details. I had a call this afternoon from the state auditor's office, and we can be expecting a state audit sometime within the next 2 or 3 weeks, month, however long it takes them. First, they'll start out with just a simple Zoom call, go to meeting call, something like that. I was not surprised, as I've been expecting this for a number of years since our last audit was in 2012. However, the timing on it was a little strange, but anyway, we'll work through that. With that, our office will be closed January 20th in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And we take this opportunity to wish everybody a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
When you say audit, how's the CPA audit coming?
Oh, that was one thing I forgot to put on here. What they're waiting on is confirmation. They have to send confirmation letters to the places where the banks that we have, and they're waiting on something from First State and I think maybe Texas Pool. And so we'll have that next month. We'll have it on the agenda next month.
Can you contact the bank or whatever, tell them to hurry up so possibly we can get these audits in
Yes.
before the state auditors get here?
Yes, I have, and the lady over at Eden Company, all the CPAs, she was going to go to one day this week. Well, this was yesterday that she and I talked. She was going to go to the bank in person and see if she could go ahead and
Hurry that up.
get that. Yeah.
I would think it would help us to have those audits
Yes.
when the state gets here.
Right. Got it. And I
Cheryl,
found it kind of interesting when I was talking to the gentleman. He was extremely nice from the state auditor's office, and he was wanted to know if we had any other audits done. And I just thought that was an interesting, question. He just called to introduce himself. But anyway, so I explained that situation to him, and so we'll told him that it was in the process, and he said that's that's fine. And there's one other question he asked that seemed a little odd, but anyway, but beside the point. Anyway, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Hobbs. Let's go to item 12. Discussing possible action, proposed draft rules, and call for public hearing, which is what we're going to have tonight to begin with. So I'm not going to wait until the end for that. Now we got the record straight. These are the right ones, right?
Looks like it from here.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you'd looked at them or not, but I know that you'd worked on them, so that's why I was asking you, because I figured you would be
Greg sent the red line.
you would be the best.
Is this the red
Source.
line from Greg?
I believe it is. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Then if
Okay.
that, yeah, that the red line from Greg, that's what we're after.
Okay.
Hey, Wes, can I
Sure.
interject here a little
Absolutely.
bit? Even as an abstaining member today,
You have every
Reading,
right to the floor.
reading the amendment to the June minutes, and Charlie, you're gonna maybe want to take a close look at this here. I'm referencing paragraph C right there. So on the reference to June minutes that were just approved by y'all as the, new way that to correct the June minutes, and that'll be done. But I'm looking at paragraph C. And it says that in June, a motion to instruct the staff and general counsel draft rule amendment to allow monthly groundwater usage reporting and verification by district staff, with exceptions for smaller wells every other month and smallest wells once a year, and results posted in the district website each month. My recollection of what happened in June was more in lines what this red rule 404B says. Each permittee must record and report to the district the amount of groundwater withdrawn each calendar month. Monthly report is due no later than the 10th day after the end of each calendar month. So what's on that page is what's supposed to go to public hearing. What was sent to public hearing, according to this, in my mind, doesn't match.
Well, that's probably because in between July and this red line copy was about 4 or 5 months until the board finally got to this. And what we just corrected.
No, well, okay.
Hang on, let me finish. What we just corrected was the June meeting because of errors and omissions in it.
Right.
June minutes. Okay. So that's what we corrected. Now what I'm hearing is you're trying to reconcile those minutes with what you currently have that was finally completed in, was it September or October that you worked on with this with Greg? What was the month that you finally got this squared away? November, October?
Like August.
It was quite a way after it. I don't know what happened between then.
August or September.
But if you were gonna, if you have a problem with the correction to the minutes, it should have been at the previous agenda item before we corrected it. If you think there's a problem with it, that doesn't mean that you can't enter discussion.
Okay, well, Charlie, is that what happened in June? Section 3, you voted to make that what happened? Is that what happened?
Hold on just a second.
Section C or section 3?
That's C on the,
You just said 3.
C right there, the motion to instruct the staff. After June happened, in my recollection of the facts, that's way before I was elected. Blake, you would remember, because maybe, I don't know, but we came out of that rules committee meeting with rules that Dr. Hutchinson recommended in September of 2023. And Charlie, there was this whole convoluted history about the deal. But in June was when the recommendations from the rules committee went to the board and everybody voted to do basically what Dr. Hutchinson recommended, which was recommend that the permittees do monthly reports. It wasn't this in June, in my opinion.
I would, okay, I think you're correct. But if you read C, I don't think it's in conflict with the stuff in June,
I have a question.
because it says to allow monthly groundwater usage reporting and verification by the district.
I have a
Okay,
question.
so that's not in conflict.
Well, what this says is that it's going to be on the permittee to do monthly reports, and what this says is to make monthly reports by the staff.
No, it's verification. Is what it says. It doesn't say the staff does the report. It says the
Well,
staff
it says
verify
allow monthly usage reporting and
and
verification.
verification.
So
Those
if
are
that's not different
two
to
different
you, and
concepts.
if that's what happened in June, then see.
So I don't think it's in conflict.
I have a question.
Okay.
If I can get a word in here,
Go ahead.
you do guys. Is the red line copy what it's supposed to be? Because I don't.
Is the red line copy what?
Is the current red line copy what it's supposed to be?
The red line copy is what Greg sent, and it's,
Well, no, I want to
it's the
know,
basis for the
David.
public hearing.
Is that what you're saying? Is the red line copy right or not? Because whether
In my opinion, this red line copy, bravo, right? Each permittee must record and report the district that to the putting it on the permittee to do the monthly reports. That is what, in my opinion, was voted on in June to go to public hearing.
and
In other
so
words, yes.
let me finish. So the proposed rules that we're talking about underneath this agenda item are correct.
Yes.
You're pointing out that you don't think that the amendment to the minutes, so we could actually take action on them, is right. Is that what I'm hearing?
The red to me seems more strict than what we proposed in the minutes. Does it not? So it's a step.
I wasn't even on the board at the time, so I have no earthly idea.
It says that the permittees will do the reporting rather.
But that's what the amended minutes say also.
I feel like we're nitpicking everything to death here.
Yeah,
And I'm getting
that's kind of
confused.
where we're going.
I don't think there's a conflict. I
Okay.
think we can proceed.
I don't think so either.
And again, once there's my understanding is procedure, once there's a public hearing, then the board discusses it, and the board, this isn't a take it or leave it deal. The board can change it up and vote after the public hearing.
Yeah, if they change it, it would probably require. We'd
Another
have to ask.
public hearing.
Yeah, probably.
So my question is, can this thing even hold water tonight?
I
And
would
the vote
say
can be
good.
taken on it.
I would say this is what
we
should
don't
go
have
to
a
public
majority.
hearing. So this is
Well, it
be the
depends.
majority.
Well, it would take
if
four.
you guys decide to.
It takes four, no matter how many are here. Yeah,
Okay.
Well, it takes a minimum of four
But-
to have a quorum, and it takes four to take any action on this board. Period.
Charlie, you would agree that what's here that you guys are about to vote on to send to public hearing is what Greg's proposed and what came from Greg. I mean, I would concur with that. That's
Well,
fine.
Greg didn't propose any of these.
Well, I know, but he put it in the legalese.
He assisted in exactly. He assisted in getting it correct, but he didn't propose any of them. The board did that.
That's correct.
So,
All right, we're good. I mean, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm not voting, but-
so these are the ones that the previous board agreed to put up for public hearing, and Charlie worked with Greg and got them all ended, and we've got the record corrected. So we have a motion to go ahead and put these up. I understand Director Palmer doesn't think that we need to do that. I do believe we do.
I make a motion, we schedule a public hearing. Janelle, would it give you enough time to do it on
Yes, sir.
the 8th of February, whatever our next meeting is?
The 11th or the 12th of February.
Well,
Yes,
something
sir.
like, whatever.
Check the calendar and give
Yeah,
a
or
special.
whatever our next meeting.
Yes, sir.
I
Schedule a
second.
public hearing for 5
You beat me-
o'clock.
you beat
5
me to
o'clock
it.
that
I second.
Okay, that is number 12. I need to write a note. Motion's been made and seconded
Who seconded that?
to set public hearing.
Second.
I'm gonna call that Blake.
You can have it if
Director
you want. It don't
Ward.
matter to me.
Oh, I was gonna get you, but you beat me this time, young man. Okay, to set public hearing for, what did you say the date was? February 12th?
Let me look quick. Let's see. I thought it was the 12th, but I may be wrong.
We need to announce it right. So
Well,
The 12th.
Okay, for February 12th, 5 p.m.
Right.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries 4-0, one abstention. Okay.
And we're back to what? 8?
We're gonna get back to the mundane things. I don't think
We're at 8.
we got anything. We got anything else juicy on here that we want to get dessert first?
Make a motion to approve number 8. Approve financial statements for 2024 December.
It's not a motion. Oh, no, it is complex. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Sorry. Look at the wrong one.
I will second that motion. Motion's been made and seconded to approve the financials statements for December 2024. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. We need to let ourselves in our raids. Any questions? I don't think we need to take any action on that one, so we're going to skip on down to number 10. Discussing possible action, invoices received and invoices paid.
Make a motion we approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made by Director Gaines and seconded by Director Ward to approve the invoices received and invoices paid. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Down hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
You're standing.
I'm abstaining from every vote.
Okay, review Texas Water Development Board Drought Index and aquifer monitoring data. I have already done that. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I looked at that earlier today.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Oh.
I think maybe Martin had some slides. Did you have slides?
No, I'm gonna play.
Okay.
I'm waiting on the. It's just while y'all review what y'all have me off.
Ah, where was this at? Oh, I didn't even know where. Did I miss something on there? Was I supposed to slip you in on?
No. It's while y'all are reviewing it. I'm just giving them something.
Okay. I'm with you now. I thought I skipped you, Marty. You were gonna give a report on something.
Armor.
No.
I've been wanting it up there on the screen. That way they can see what we're seeing because everybody always has a question about it. I'm like,
That's
it up there. So
This is a good idea. I like it. Yeah, well, it's nice for them to be able to see what's in this packet. And then nobody's got any comments on 11. I only have one.
Something on this real quick, Wes, while we're on this. It says maybe, whatever, I'm new here, but before the election and since I've been coming to these water board meetings, in this seat and in that seat, I've always felt this part of the meeting, and it's good, Marty, that we're putting these slides up, But maybe we can get together, Wes, and talk about how this might go. But, you know, the public and us should be gaining what we need from this packet to get our job done, to take measures to meet the DFC, to acknowledge that we're in a severe drought right now, to acknowledge that the CFS of the spring is way below where a healthy level would be. It's less than 2 CFS right now and has been for quite a while. And it's lower than it was on December 31st last year when we didn't meet the DFC. So, you know, a positive step is to get on these rules. And I applaud you guys for voting for nothing to do that, you know, because we need to get that going. But maybe we can turn this part of the meeting into a briefing that I'll volunteer to do if we figure out what needs to happen. But, you know, we ought to be like verbally, in my opinion, making a little presentation based on what we see. We see this well dropping, you know, and that could be something we could work with Jim Burton on or whatever. But we need to like say we're in drought, you know, this is what Uvalde's doing. San Antonio's about to go to stage 5. You know, we're coming up on the DFC pretty soon, and we need to acknowledge that the CFS is so low or it's good or whatever. We need to, in my opinion, adapt what's going on in this part, this number 11. So that's just a, you know, gee whiz, something, because just, you know, in my experience, it's always 7 people sitting here going like this. And then, you know, I don't know, we can't have public comment now, but if, you know, the average person looks at that, they go, oh, that's a squiggly line. And then we're out.
Actually, as soon as we get close here, we can talk as much as we want to the public. But, you know, in my first 30 days here, my probably biggest observation is a lack of communication amongst the board and staff. And those little pads sitting there on the table, which we didn't get to talk to you about tonight, are iPads for each one of the directors. This is something that the previous board took action on. Gosh, I think John Paul Schuster was still president at the time. And there've been issues getting it squared away and with the email and everything else. And I was finally asked today about it because the push has been to have email addresses with the domain name of the district. And I could care less. I just want to be able to communicate. And we can't come down here at a business meeting for an hour and a half once a month and think that we're going to get this done. It's not going to happen. No one here is Superman. And it's not going to happen. Not to mention the fact that we're straddled with all these other things where 4 of us have to be in some semblance of step to get anything done. There are some things, and I had a brief conversation coming back from my sister's funeral with Mr. Ellis driving on the highway about the committee system. And that's something that I am familiar with and that we're going to have to do in order to get some of these things done that we need to get done. Some board members are going to have to step up. We're going to have to go over our bylaws and figure out where we've got some errors at. One of the biggest criticisms over the last 2 years from the public has been a lack of communication and information about what the district's doing, what the district's working on, what's occurring, and there's been a lot of attacking and arrow throwing and everything else. I thought to get where I'm at, I'm here and now I want to work and get some of this stuff straightened out. And most of it revolves around communication and people talking to each other and the public having access to the district and information in the district. And I'm all about it. I want to open that up as much as we can, but we can't do that in a 1-hour business meeting. This is a business meeting. There are some important things that occur here. That's why we have public hearings for rules and things like that. Give the public more opportunity, and we need to be giving the public more than what we have been. We need to be giving them more access to Dr. Hutchins. We need to be giving them more access to Jim and Carlos, so they know how things are working, what they're doing. You know, as far as I'm concerned, some of the board members need to start shadowing some of the staff on what they're doing. You don't know what you're asking to do if you haven't gone rode around the truck with them. You have no idea what their day consists of, and it's really hard to manage someone when you don't know what you're asking them to do. So I'm not throwing any arrows at the board or anything else. That's just something I've observed in this first 30 days. And I think it's something we all need to work on. This last agenda item, future agenda items. It's kind of a pet peeve of mine because it makes the board think that this is the only time you can get something on the agenda. But if you review our bylaws, all you have to do is call down here any day of the month and say, we need to talk about this. I would like this on the agenda. This form of government is very, very open. No one here, there's no one leader sitting at the table at all. Everybody here is equal. Everybody here has input. Everybody gets the floor. So we're going to have to work together. Whether we came at this from different directions, whether we have different opinions or not, like it or not, the state of Texas says you are a 7-man team. Period. And if we're going to get anything done, we're going to have to work that way. Those will help with that, and we're going to have to do the committee system. We're going to have to do that. There are other things that we can do too. And one of the things I really want to look into is a citizens advisory committee to give the people more access to the board and the process. The only way you're going to learn what's going on is if you're part of the process. Anyway.
Cool. So on that future agenda item, then I guess I can weigh in on that.
Anytime you want, you ask.
I'll do that right now. Another thing Greg said is we need a drought plan. You need a drought plan. So I don't know what form that drought plan is going to take. I know that we have a rules committee that was established after the rules committee that I was on, and that's Director Schott and Director Gaines and Director Bland, who's not here. So maybe on that future agenda item, we can hear where we're at on that. Obviously, it's not in the public hearing yet, but eventually it will be or should be. And we need to put that on the future agenda. What's the status of the drought plan?
Well, I think we crossed all the T's and all the I's to get the rules up for next month.
That's true.
Right now, I don't even know if that committee is still. I don't know if it stays functional or not. I haven't
sure where we're at with that.
I haven't gotten a list of committees that are here right now, or if there are any. This is one of the things that I think that we all need to talk to Greg about here at the end of the month in groups and figure out how that we can implement the committee system in order to get some things done. Budget and finance, rules, drought management, whatever else it is. It doesn't matter. Those are things, that way we can meet, we can gather information, we can go on field trips to other districts if that's what we've got to do. The committee can come back and report to the board. They can give a recommendation to the board. Hey, we voted. This is what we think you ought to do. And then the board can take it up in the meeting. That way, when we get to our 1 hour a month meeting, we've actually done all the preface work. We're not doing what you just said. We're not sitting here 15 minutes before the meeting trying to catch up a month's worth of stuff. Because it's the only way we're going to get anything done.
I'm not saying that's what I was talking about on that agenda item, but I'm saying every meeting on that particular agenda item, 2 minutes go by while we're looking at these graphs. And it's a good move that we're showing them now because we didn't used to show them. So that's cool.
Jim's on in the meeting right now. He can talk if you got a question. He can talk. Jim, can you hear me?
He fell asleep. Anyway,
so that's good.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the way we've got. That's the way we've got ahead with it. We're going to get anything done.
He's on, so
No.
Yeah, I like the idea. I think we're collecting a lot of really good data and looking at it and talking about it every meeting. I think it's a great idea. So however you want to do that, I think Marty, you could do a lot of it.
Yeah, Jim, I guess you heard, I don't know, this State Palmer, when we review the Texas Water Development Board Drought Index and aquifer monitoring data. I would like to turn that into a 1 minute, summary, what's going on in the county with, with the wells and with the flow in the springs and with the drought index, the Palmer Drought Index or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, I know, Miss Janelle, you did that for a while. Weren't you talking about the drought index and looking at that? I think we had a format before.
Yeah. It,
Maybe I can get with you later, Jim, or whatever. I'll be on that committee.
Director Palmer, I got you on the call here. Let me just state that I've heard this now from a couple different people about my thoughts on the Dooley well versus the non-Dooley well, and I know you asked me today. Did I state that the Dooley well is absolutely not correlated with the spring? And that's not what I've said. There is a non-linear correlation with the Dooley well. And let me just state that very clear for the record, because of people saying that I've said there's no correlation. And I know Dr. Bill thinks there is. Let me just throw that out there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, it's probably not my place, but thank you, Dylan. Wings.
Yes, sir.
On the drought management plan, we've, no longer meeting, haven't since last summer. Had just a brief summary of plan, which we discussed with Greg and on one of the executive session phone calls. I'll outline that if you want to put it on the agenda next month. It's a starting place. He said it was certainly legal, fine. Yeah, that'll work. It doesn't mean it's the only thing that'll work. I mean, drought plans can take, you've got the whole table open on it. But
every one of them's different.
Every one. But we did go over it in an executive session. He said, yeah, that's fine. But no, we're not meeting
I don't know
anymore.
if that's something you want to present, or we just talk about where we're at or whatever.
It's a starting point. It's all it is. It's a starting point. Anybody on the board can propose a plan. I mean, it's wide open. But yes, we have a starting point for discussion, and we take it, we can amend it, we can throw it out, start over. But yeah, Greg says we do need one. We did have a show of hands in that June meeting. It's not in the minutes because it wasn't a vote, but all 7 members said yes. We need a plan, and so we're all in agreement on that. But yeah, we need to start working on it. I say start work. We've been working. We need to move it to the next step and actually have concrete proposals and have the board massage it as they see fit.
Yeah, and that'll require a public hearing too.
After it's done. I mean, once the board agrees, then, assuming the board can agree, but the board needs to massage something and put it out there.
And whatever, while we're here, we might as well. I'm not sure 4 people need to vote on a version of the drought plan either. But does it require a majority vote to send?
I would think so.
Or can one? I don't think.
Anybody can propose it, but
I think anybody, I could get anybody with a permit to propose a drought plan, and then there's a public hearing.
But to move
No,
forward,
that doesn't work. That doesn't work quite that way. It's close, but not quite.
But
we'll have to learn more about that when we talk to you.
Anybody can propose, but the board has to come up with something that the 4 board members agree on to move to the next step, the public hearing, and then potentially adopt it.
Well, any member can propose
anything
that they want,
but we have to agree first.
So just hypothetically, Wes,
the purpose of using the committee system is in order to come to a compromised agreement that you might actually pass. Because if it's just one person's idea, what are the odds that you're going to get 3 more out of 7 that are in complete agreement with you?
Yeah, but that wasn't. I spent months.
I'm just playing out hypotheticals. Anyone can present.
So hypothetically, Wes, let's just devil's advocate. Let's say I dig up the SOS plan that was part of the rules committee I was on, and I go, I want a public hearing on the SOS plan.
You can present it to the board.
But the board still has to vote.
The board still got to vote on it.
Well, the board has to vote on it, but does the board have to vote to have a public hearing on it?
Yes, they do. I'd say so.
Right. I'll look into that one.
Because that's you proposing it to the public, not the board. The proposed rules have to come from the board to the public. The board has to take action to propose those rules to the public.
And then,
Not an individual director. We're just one of 7. Takes 4 out of 7 to take action. The action is presenting proposed rule changes, whatever they happen to be. So one board member can present it to the board, okay, but it's still going to take 4 out of 7 at the minimum to get it as a proposal to the public and have a hearing. So yeah, you can't just arbitrarily. One person can't just arbitrarily propose something and it's going to go to public hearing. It just doesn't work that way.
sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yeah, put it down for next time. I'll do a brief report on it and show that outline that and again, it wasn't one individual. It's a product of months and months.
Oh, I understand.
But this is the best we can come up with after all that.
No. We were playing on hypotheticals that one director can't propose
And
drought management
that's
plan.
what I said.
Nothing wrong with
This
it.
is like a starting
But
point.
this is you were doing a committee system, which
this
is
is
that's
a-
the way
this-
to do it because that's the way you get to a compromised
This will
agreement.
be a starting point, and then it can go any direction from there.
Yeah. It's
Depending
still
on
the
what the
board
board-
still has. Yeah, they still got they can still play with it and amend it and move it around and kick it around a little bit. Anyway, anybody got anything else? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would like to just, before we close out, moving forward, we've got a lot of very intelligent people on this board. And we need to unify, leave our agendas outside, do what's best for the public in here. Because the more that we nitpick everything and pick everything to death and do this and do that, it adds confusion. And that, I think, is a lot where all this gets generated. A lot of what happens gets generated and said on social media and everything else. If we're transparent, we're doing the best for the public. We unite together as a team. And I know Wes brushed on this earlier, but we have a lot of intelligence on this board.
Absolutely.
But the more that we go back and forth on stuff that's kind of off topic, it adds confusion. Does that make sense? We also need to quit going rogue and talking to the attorney one-on-one. I'm totally against that. I know that people have talked to me about it because if we can do a web call or whatever y'all call it, a Zoom call with the attorney with 2 members of the board, I think having that extra witness there helps us. That way it opens both of our eyes. And I assume we're getting billed every time we call our attorney, right?
I promise you are.
So, I mean, I don't want to call Greg to ask him, what time the sun rose this morning.
Yeah,
Not that he was out of bed at that time or whatever.
I don't know what you're implying, Blake. That's not what I asked him. And I think it's my right as a director to call Greg Ellis whenever I think I need to. If you guys don't think so, that's your opinion.
It's
But
absolutely.
I need to call Greg. I'm going to call Greg. Tell you guys say it's against me.
There's no rule. There's no rule. Anyway, you can do that.
And I'm not saying I don't think there's several other directors that call Greg when they got a question, and I think that's fully valid. And
But that wasn't
I'm doing-
pointed at you. It's happened in the
Okay,
past before you
okay,
were on the board,
okay,
is what I'm
that's fine.
saying.
I just make sure.
This has
No.
been an ongoing issue over decades with the board, and it wasn't just with board members. So it's better that we always keep an eye on the tab, and when we can do this as a group, or we can do it via email, bouncing it around where he's involved in it. If that's legal and everything, then that's the way that we need to do it. So he's involved in those discussions, and he can put that information in there. But we definitely have to work together to some extent. In what you said, I think the biggest thing that we need to remember is governance is a process. It's not about me getting what I want. It's about doing the process correctly. And in the end, the ship always rights itself. And as example, I was a member of a group that refused 20 something years ago to take advantage of a tax break that they could get, and they didn't want to do it. And I was the one that presented it to them, and they voted not to do it. And they didn't do it. And 20 years later, I was on the committee that fixed it, and take care of it. So it, it doesn't matter. It's about the process. If you focus on the process and not the end result, you're probably going to get through it okay.
I second the motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Motion carries.